Hello and welcome again to Well Spirit, where we discuss everything from wellness, spirituality, all forms of anything in between. Tonight, as a special talent, we have Dermot Kelly, who will be talking about the book that he's written, Weird, and believe me, some of it is totally weird. If tonight you have any questions, you will be asked to just type it in and hopefully Dermot will be able to answer them for you. But first off, please share with anybody and everybody so that we can get the show on the road. Thank you very much for getting all these people in nice and early. Now, I'm going to bring you up, Dermot, so here we go, mate. We're on the roll. Hi, Dermot. How you doing, mate?
Mate, I'm very busy and tired tonight, I can tell you.
You're not the only one. Yeah. I've had a busy night tonight.
Yes.
Sorry, mate. We got some people on board already. We'll just quickly run through them. We've got can you see that, Dermot?
Yes, I can. Yes.
There you go. So we've got some comments coming in already. So we got that one, which is pretty excellent. I'm curious. We'll definitely look into this one. This is good. And, of course, there's always you. You're always I hope that's because you're sharing that one. Dermot, how do I do that? I've never tried. Please explain and, yes, remind me. I'm assuming that's how do you write a book?
Carmel's a dear friend of mine, and g'day, editor. How are you? Yes, it is awesome, and yes, you can share on your page. I think I replied to that one.
Oh, good. I'm glad you got to some of these before I did.
And yeah, Carmel probably would need help with the technology side as well, because she's as old as my mum.
Oh, lovely. Thanks for coming back in again, Roz. You're at the last one. She's just saying hi to everybody. And Edita, she says, hi, Dermot.
Hi, a local girl.
Yeah, oh, good. I'm glad to see you're in touch with all the local girls. Just give these people an idea, a rundown on your book, if you would, please.
Okay, just very quickly. This is it. If anyone hasn't seen it, it's called Weird, a reality that words can't explain. And ever since I was a baby, I was amazed and I was in tune with my body until I went to school. You got the name right. Well done, Roy.
Yeah, it's not. I've had a bit of practice tonight on some of these names, so it's good fun.
And yeah, ever since I was 0 to 5, I was definitely in tune with my higher consciousness, and I knew exactly who I was and why I was here. But the school system and the work system obviously beat the living daylights out of me, and I meandered quite a distance away from where I should have been. And so I guess the reason I wrote the book was because a friend of mine in Victoria, who's a psychic medium, was told by Spirit to tell me that she was writing a book, and I said, yes, so am I, but I hadn't. What I had done is written a lot of notes on different experiences.
And so you took that as a time to sort of jump into the pool and write a book.
Well, I didn't know that I was going to actually publish it because I didn't really have the money to publish. So that was another hurdle. But I used the universe and the synchronicity and everything else and being in touch with my higher consciousness. I just put it out there that once I'd finished, that that I could get it to the right people and in the right manner. And my sister came to my aid financially. And I've been pushing it and peddling it ever since. 2-3 books at a time. So
yeah, you mentioned that you're an intuitive empath. Is that part of the early journey or a later part of it?
I guess I was very intuitive as a child, but then that was weaned out of me. But I did have an accident at work probably 8 years ago, just after I'd turned 50. And that gave me time to sit down and think about my life and what I'd done with my life. But I still wasn't listening to my higher consciousness and spirit. Even though I was awakening, I still wasn't quite listening. And about 2 years ago, at about this time of year, when we were doing stock take, which is what we're in the middle of now, I broke my left elbow. And I was out of action again. But this time, when I tripped over and I thought I regained my balance, but I felt a hand on my back. Now, there was no one there. So you work that out for yourself. Why did I feel a hand on my back? You know, it just doesn't make sense. So anyway, I fell over, broke my arm, and then I took that as another sign, okay, I need to start listening. So once I started listening to my higher self. And
we have a
came
question
through
here from Roz, mate. I'm pretty sure that the schools and society's values do pummel the sensitive soul to forgetting our true self. It's true. A lot of people who are sort of ridiculed so much in their youth often lose the talent for a very long time and have to regain it later in life.
Which is what's happened to me, yeah, for sure. I mean, when I left school and, you know, was starting to work and everything, I actually formed a rock band here in Adelaide for about 8 years. And we got to a reasonable level and supported some really great acts. But the problem with that is you get caught up in all the drink and the you know what, and that doesn't do you any good. So I had to get that out of my system. And once I got it out of my system, I then started to realise, okay, it's time to settle down at the age of 30. Got married at 36. And now my children are now at university. They're no longer at school. So, phew.
Time to work on other projects.
Absolutely. So this is what I'm doing.
You mentioned in your book there that you had a couple of occasions where you had rather unexpected visitations, like you mentioned something about a UFO. You want to go somewhere with that?
Yeah. Okay, yes, I do. Where is it? In chapter 4, I think it is. No, chapter 3. My UFO encounter was not a normal UFO encounter. It was a February night. It was, you know, a really nice evening. We were new. I think it was 1973, I believe. So I would have been about 12, 13, something like that. And I was with my 2 sisters and the girls from next door, and our parents were just going to the local hotel for a drink. They were only going to go for about an hour. And there was a reserve out the front of our house in Salisbury East, which was just off. Yes, Linda, it is. And I'll get to that later. Yeah, so the UFO, well, there was kids on the opposite side of the reserve, and in those days, when people lit fireworks, you know, you recognise the fireworks, and I thought it was I thought it was a skyrocket from a milk bottle, because I heard the swish sound.
Yeah.
And it was just starting to go dark, and I stood up and I told the girls, I said, don't worry, it's only those children across there. They've just lit a fire rocket or a skyrocket or something like that. Well, the girls sat down, and I, for some unknown reason, just stood there, and I just got the sense on my right-hand side to look towards the east, towards the Adelaide Hills.
Yeah.
And as I looked up, it would have been twice as high as the street lights, and it would have been about half to 3/4 of a soccer pitch, which is about 50 to 75 yards long. And it was about 2 stories high, this thing. It was massive. And it just sat there, no noise, and there was lights all around it. And I just stood there in amazement. I just could not believe it. And then I realised telepathically that they were doing something, and I said telepathically, please don't go. And they said, it's okay, we'll be back. And off they went. Now, I'm still waiting for them to come back.
Well, you got to think in the long term that their time may be totally different to ours.
Exactly. But when I told my parents that I saw this UFO, they didn't believe me. But the next night on the 6 o'clock news, there was a lady in Prospect hanging out her washing, because it was a nice warm evening, and she saw the UFO, and there were sightings from Gawler in the north to Goolwa and Victor Harbour in the south. So it is on record of having passed through. So, you know, and even though I experienced that for many years afterwards, I still found it hard to believe in UFOs until I started getting interdimensional realities in more recent times.
Well, that's a huge terminology. You want to try and explain that particular agenda? Interrelational, yeah.
Interdimensional realities, yeah. Okay. This is kind of freaky, but cool at the same time. Probably last year, but maybe the year before, I can't quite remember, but I was lying down, getting ready to go to sleep, and I closed my eyes, and I could see the violet flame flicking around my body like this, in and out.
Yeah. So I'm seeing some comments here, so I'll put them up so you can have a look at them.
Yeah. And the fun begins. Oh yeah. And I kept seeing this violet flame, so I opened my eyes, and it was pitch black, but I could still see the violet flame. The next minute, I could see stars, and I thought, hang on, how can I see stars when I'm in my bedroom? Apparently, I'd just risen, my soul had risen above and out of the house, and I was going up into the universe.
So would you say it was like astral traveling?
I suppose for those that talk about astral traveling, you could relate it to that. Yes, absolutely. But I didn't perceive it as astral traveling. I just perceived it as being normal for myself, because I tend to do that more when I'm asleep, not just before I go to sleep.
Right.
So what's happened is I've actually gone right out into the universe, and I'm sitting there thinking, wow, this is cool. But my body's tired, and I need to get up early tomorrow. So please, can I go back safely? And I did. So
Oh, that's the main thing. You got back safely on that one.
absolutely, yeah. And I
You
suppose,
mentioned. Oh, sorry. You mentioned that in part of your blurb that you sent to me that you're interested in helping people share their experiences. Is that through the book, or do you have another format that you want to help them with?
okay, when I went to the publisher, which was Green Hills Publishing in Port Adelaide, he was very impressed. He was very impressed with the way that I presented the manuscript to him. Most people just present a script and say, turn it into a book.
Yeah.
I took the time to format it and make sure that it was as close to a book as it could possibly be. And he saw the potential in that, and he said, why don't you register a business name, which is Mytimetv Publishing, and help others to produce books. Now, it doesn't matter whether people want to share their experiences or not. If they want to be anonymous, then I can write on their behalf, or I can help them to write themselves. Or if anyone wants to write a book in general, I can help them to get the manuscript to the printers, which will save time and money.
Right.
Because at the moment, I've only helped one person do that, and I'd like to help more.
Just on sort of a side note, the subject that you're writing about, I mean, weird. It's a nice title, but writing about the UFOs and interdimensional realities, I would think that there would be at least 50% ridicule in there, people who want to sort of debunk what's going on. Did you suffer from that, and how'd you get past it?
Well, if you can imagine being a sensitive Cancerian all my life, I was ridiculed from day one. So I suppose when you get to 58, you're not too worried about ridicule anymore. So, and if you can stand up to an audience, for example, we got a gig at the Old Lion Hotel supporting Eric Burdon and the Animals. And if you can get up and sing in front of 3,000 people, you don't worry about ridicule. You know what I'm saying? You learn to deal with it. You move on. You move past it.
How would you sort of, people who are writing a book similar to your own that would use Mytimetv, they might want to express their aspects of what they've been through. Now, having been through the ridicule and stuff like that, are you helping them to promote themselves and explain to them that they may come across the ridicule and how to get past it?
I can do that, yes, most certainly. It just depends on the person. I mean, some people might want to rock on, yeah. And that's a character.
She is indeed. She's a wonderful woman.
It depends on the person. Look, if the person wants anonymity, then I'm more than happy to share their stories under a pseudonym or a different name. And then they are happy in that they've shared something and contributed without having to deal with the ridicule. However, if the person is confident in themselves, then why not? Why not help them get past the ridicule and just put it out there? I mean, I don't see the ridicule as being an issue anymore because, pardon me, there's just so much stuff out there now that if you're talking about, I don't believe in UFOs, to me, I ridicule those people because there are so many interdimensional beings and ships out there right now. If only they knew. So, you know.
it's difficult when all the stuff that is being put out there, and live broadcasts like this help a little bit, but
yeah,
if you've got the knowledge and you've got all this information in the book, they still want to debunk you. They want to say, no, that never happened. It was, just lighting and stuff. And it's difficult because they can shovel stuff into it at a mile a minute, whereas the average person who is starting out, who has seen it or has experienced it, wants other people to know, cannot shovel that much behind it. So you've got this little 10-minute window that you put it up, and maybe you hit 1,000 people if you're lucky, and then the world jumps on top of you, and the experts are going, oh, you're talking out of your ring gear. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. But it takes a lot of courage for people like yourself to put their name to a book where they're talking about UFOs, interdimensional realities and contact, and the expressions that go into all of that. And look, I commend you on what you're doing, but it's just very hard for people to get that point across.
Well, there is another aspect to what I do as well. I'm not a healer or a reader or a psychic medium or anything like that. However, I don't meditate. I don't do any of that. But what I do, hello Adair. What I do is I find that I can meditate on the run while I'm at work. Even sometimes I can just switch off. I just do things naturally. I don't have to force anything. So if I don't want to meditate, I won't. And if I feel that I need to, I will do it instantly. So I guess, where was I going to go with this?
I don't know. Is any of this in the book, the ability to sort of instantly switch off and meditate, so that these problems sort of just flow over you rather than just encompass you?
Well, the beginning of the book is my early experiences and how I came to realize who I was. The second part is more about how different psychics in different countries have actually contacted me and told me things about myself that I needed at least 2 years to get around it myself. Even though I believe in all this stuff, it still took me 2 years to get it in my head and feel and resonate with it. Because what I didn't know was that I'm here on a couple of missions on this planet. And it's not just to awaken people. It's not just to help with ascension. It's to actually help in general, right across the board in the universe. It's not just this planet. So I haven't put that in the book, but at some point I will be putting that sort of stuff in. Yeah. And you've frozen, Roy. I don't know what's happened there. So what I will do while we're waiting for Roy to come back, is there any questions before I move on? No? Okay. So what I'll do is I'll just read very quickly my awakening process, my earliest memories, my UFO encounter, weird and unusual happenings throughout my life, Reiki and third eye activation. Now, I had an amazing experience while having a Reiki session where the person doing the Reiki saw a light beam about this big come from the top of my head through the ceiling. And I got a massive surge of energy from head to toe and back 3 times. And it was absolutely incredible. I just could not believe what I was feeling at that time. And to be honest with you, I didn't even know what Reiki was or or what it involves or how it could even help me. But it certainly opened my eyes to what, you know, this stuff can actually do. And the third eye activation, I mean, the synchronicities that I'm getting now compared to a few years ago, it was incredible. So where are we? Then I talk about the dreams, my dreams, and the astral, and some of the things that I experience in the astral. I noticed that the difference between a dream and something I experience in the astral is that in a dream you remember it, or sometimes you remember bits and pieces, but you're not in control at any stage in the dream. You're just watching as a third party. Now, if you're in the astral, you're participating and you're very active and you know exactly what you're doing and you're in total control. And I've had some amazing experiences in the astral that I talk about in the book where I was apprehended at one stage and I was able to vanish right in front of their eyes without them even knowing. And they were looking around for me and they couldn't find me, and I just thought it was hilarious. So, yeah. Now, past lives and regression. Now, I did have a regression and it confirmed what those three psychics had already told me. And that blew me away because it made it very clear to me, and it resonated with me, that I could actually be who these people were telling me I was. So it kind of freaked me out a bit. But at the same time, I was humble enough to realize, well, you know what? If I'm here to do this, I might as well have some fun. And I've had some fun along the way, believe me. So, and I did attend a past life workshop here in Adelaide. And it helped me to tune in to some of my past lives. And since then, I've been able to remember certain aspects of my past lives, and that in itself has blown me away as well, and I share them as well. So, you know, if you want to talk about that, we can talk about that as well. Then I talk about connecting the dots. Now, it's all right having information on different areas, but at some point, you need to be able to connect the dots. And I found it was quite easy for me to connect the dots. So that's what I did. I connected the dots and away I went. And then, if that wasn't enough, there was a spiritual connection that I got through this whole process. And two very dear friends of mine, Stephen and Evan Strong, who are archaeologists. I always get tongue-tied when I do that. Well, they have found some amazing artifacts and information regarding the Egyptians in Australia, the original Australian people in Egypt, and so on. They found some skulls that aren't human or humanoid, and it's just getting crazier by the minute. And although science can explain a lot of things, there's a lot of scientists trying to work out what these things actually are, and it's incredible. And I don't know why, but I've had a kinship with this country ever since I've been here. I've been here almost 50 years now, and I just love the spirit of the original people and what they stand for. And I don't like what the Western governments, let's put it that way, have done to them. and Indigenous people in general around the world. And I suppose it's, you know, it turns full circle, because it's that got me annoyed enough to investigate why this was going on, which in turn helped me become more spiritual and awaken so that I could write a book. So it's a funny way. The universe has a funny way of putting things together. It comes full circle. And I talk about my unique perspective in how I see things in general. And for those of you who are friends of mine on Facebook, you will realise that I love my football, soccer, not the Aussie rules, and I love music, and I love comedy, and I love being a larrikin. I love prodding the government to do what they should do and not what they shouldn't. And I like to expose people for who they are. And, you know, some people say, well, you know, you shouldn't do that. You should, you know, behave yourself and everything else. Well, it takes all sorts to make this world go round. And, you know, I like to rock the boat, because sometimes things change when people rock the boat, because if you don't, you can be squashed and trodden. And I don't like to be squashed and trodden. I don't know about you. So, well, I can't see Roy, and I can't see any comments, but I'd imagine there would be some. So let's see, how do I do this? Where's me clicky thing? Okay, let's have a look. You'll have to excuse me, guys. I can't even see the comments. Oh dear. How do you make this thing smaller? No, not that. Okay. Does anyone know where Roy is? If anyone knows where Roy is, can you tell him to come back? I can't see the comments, and I can't answer anyone's questions. So, and I don't know that I've got enough to keep talking. So, and I'd like to keep talking, and I'm sure you'd like me to. Yes, no, thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever. Ah, and I also talk about awareness and ascension symptoms. Well, that's very general. You know, some people could say it's a load of hogwash. It's because you're getting older, you're feeling those sensations. But I know a lot of younger people that are going through it as well. Pardon me. So, you know, but I did go to the Golden Grove Wellness Fair for the first time in March, and I'll be there again in September 23rd, and I'll be bringing this little book along. But one thing I will say is that I'm actually writing another book, but it's more about my research that got me fired up enough to awaken me in the first place, so I could write a book about weird stuff. So, and one of the main aspects of my new book is that, imagine, if you will, a circle has got 360 degrees. So if we say there are 360 people in a circle, and they witness an incident between three people where one walks past another, and then the other one says something, and then they end up in a fisticuffs. And if you asked the 360 people in the circle what did they see, what did they hear, you would get many different answers. You'd get some similar answers from people that are next to one another, but you would probably get some different answers from people on the opposite side of the circle. So the whole perspective that I'm trying to get across here is that as human beings, we all tend to think that we all know the truth and we put it out there and that's it. No, it's not it at all. What it is, it's one aspect of what it is. And if you look at a circle and say, well, there's 360 aspects or degrees, then there must be other versions of the truth. So the truth can be very, very similar, and it can be very, very different. So now I've got some action here. No, I haven't. What's happening? I think Roy's trying to get back in and out. Yes, no. No, okay.
Not letting me put the picture up.
But my picture goes bigger and smaller as I'm talking. Hey!
Yeah, the fun of live TV.
Well, I was chatting away there for quite some time, so.
And then you suddenly realised I wasn't listening.
Well, I don't know if anyone was there, but I just kept talking anyway.
Well, you've done a brilliant job. No, unfortunately, my internet, if I leave it running for too long, it decides you've done enough, I'm going to shut down. You're going to have to reboot.
Yeah.
And it just decided right in the middle of your conversation to go, I'll blow this for a joke. I'll bugger off and see what happens. So
well,
this is the fun of live TV, mate. Well, fun of live TV.
Well, okay, now that I've done all this talking, if there was anyone listening, does anyone have any questions on that?
Yeah. There's Pewter froze up as well. So we're all having the same disease tonight. I missed what you said there, but I don't want to make you say it all over again just for me.
Yeah.
So maybe we move in a different direction. I noticed in some of your writings there you had ridicule.
Yes.
What's that about?
Ridicule is an original saying from the Ramangeri people, and it means black fella, white fella dreaming together.
Is that part of the book?
No. But I do write about, and I was actually explaining the different areas that I write in the book.
Right.
But it's a chapter that I wrote. Where is it? My spiritual connection. The reason I wrote that chapter is because the guy that wrote the foreword to my book, Stephen Strong, he has very strong ties with the Ramangeri people here in South Australia. And I met Kano the Elder, and God rest his soul, he's now passed away. But they're very spiritual people, and like Kano always said, race has no colour.
Yeah, that's true enough. Yeah.
So, and that's what ridicule is basically all about: is black fella, white fella dreaming together. So that we work very closely with them, and yeah, that's probably another show again, because I've brought what's the dare saying?
Well, at the time when a drunk stumbled into the set of Hey Hey It's Saturday set, and Darlie Summers had to make out if it was part of the show, the joys of live TV, where pioneering 30 years down the track. It's just so true. You've just got to play it by ear and hope everything goes well.
Well,
mate, this is your fault. You kept telling me last week it's your energy that buggers everything up, so I'm blaming you.
Yeah, but guess what, Roy? Guess what?
What's that?
You see, the years of experience that I had as a frontman for a rock and roll band, I just kept the show going.
Yeah,
I just kept talking.
Frontman there, isn't it?
So I just kept talking.
You're a good lad. Where else does the book go that we haven't already mentioned?
Okay, I did have it in a few bookstores in Adelaide, but I decided to limit to one, and that is at Crystal Wave down at Grange, because it seemed to be selling there a little bit more easily than anywhere else. I did have some in Gawler, in Kadina, Norwood. No, you haven't lost me. I'm still here.
Yeah, you stopped there for a second, and I thought, hello, we've lost poor old Dermot now.
No.
You came down to one of ours at Golden Grove. How'd that go for you when you were doing the book signing and the bit down there? Was that all right, or how'd it go?
Yeah, it was fantastic. I sold 3 books, and I managed to do a swap. Frogman. Yeah, croak. Yeah.
It's nice to have all these people that think they're comedians, and there's so many of them out to work.
Well, I was a front man, a vocalist. Yeah, Crystal Wave.
So would you do more of these markets if you could get people to come along, or is it just something to spare time?
The way I see it, right, is that if you write a book and you don't put it out there, how are people going to know about it?
That's true enough. Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if you sell 1 or if you sell 100 or 3 or 50. Yeah. It doesn't matter about the total. It's about getting the message across to people, and it's about putting yourself out there and helping others as you're doing it. Now,
much like this show.
And there was a couple that came up to me that bought the book, and she just lost her family members in a tragic accident, and she wanted to write a book, and she was also interested in the content of the book, and I could see that she was, welling up with the tears. So I just got up, walked around and gave her a hug. And then I hugged her husband and I said, please look after her. My email is in the back of the book. If you get into any trouble, just email me. So that's what I did. And it's about connecting with people.
It's nice to have that contact with people, though. Down at Golden Grove, there was 3 of you down there doing your sales and your spruiking, so to speak. It's good to see that there's more than one sort of people here in South Australia who are putting out spiritual books, the varieties, health, wellness, like yourself, the UFOs, the different realms. And I don't think enough people realise that these people are out there, and they're putting themselves on the line, and they're attempting to get themselves known and get other people known for doing exactly what you're doing. And I mean, up until the time when I met you, this sort of stuff, I had to go interstate or something. And now the books are coming out of the woodwork. We've got Evelyn Eden, there's yourself. There's a book I picked up recently, which was written by Joseph, which I'd never heard of in Adelaide. And he was back in the 1960s, 70s, and he was at the St. John Baptist Church, and he's written a beautiful book. You've just got to pick these books up that people here are putting out and take the time to read them, because they're very good. Unfortunately, I must admit, I haven't got around to reading yours yet, so I'm a bit lax in that matter, but it's on the shelf and it will get written. I'll guarantee it will get read.
Well, I've had some really good feedback just lately that it's not just on cream paper, it's actually on white paper.
Oh, are you saying that it's not old?
No. You can't. Most printers will print on cream colour paper.
Yeah.
Whereas I've printed it on white, and I've chosen.
What's the difference? Is it a better result or lasts longer?
It's a visual thing. It's a visual thing because the black ink stands out better on a white than it does on cream.
Mm.
And also, I've chosen a sans serif font that stands out on the page, and I've chosen a 12 point, which is better for people our age to read.
Just keep yourself in that our age bit, all right? I'm quite young at heart, thank you.
Well, aren't we all?
Yeah, we're young people on the inside just trying to fight our way out of an old body.
I'm a 5-year-old in a 6-year-old body, yeah.
I think there's a lot of us out there suffering from that disease. Okay, well, we're starting to head down the dark side here towards the end. I'll just put up the questionnaire again in case somebody does have a question. But is there anything specific that you would like to get across before I put up your website again, which is the Mytimetv Publishing one?
Mytimetv, M-A-T-B-R-E.
Yep.
Yeah, I suppose the biggest point I want to get out there is, the book's about a message that helps people to realise that, I've had an experience like that. But I don't go out telling people. But they may have had a lot more experiences and gone, oh, wow, maybe there's a book in me. So, and if there is a book in you, then come to Mytimetv Publishing and let me help you get it to the stage. I'm not charging any money at this stage. So in answer to Annette's question, I'm actually 7 chapters in on book 2 already, but I need a little bit more time to put it all together, and I'll probably write another 7 chapters, so it's probably another year away. So I'm still flogging this one.
It's good to have something on the run again. I mean, it gives people something to look forward to, and you've got the extra bonus of having 2 books that you can then put on. What about, sort of heading in the ebook direction? Would that be an alternative?
Well, I finally worked out how to get it into ebook, and it is on ebook on Amazon.com.au.
All right. So they can get the ebook as well as the hardcover, so the soft cover as well.
I don't have control. I don't have control over the price anymore. It seems Amazon put the price up and down as they see fit, but that's the price you pay going global.
Being famous.
I wouldn't say famous. No.
Who knows? I mean, doing this sort of thing may bring in a whole new crowd of people, so you just don't know.
Well, I over the last 4 years, I have done other interviews on Skype with people that have large audiences, and they've had, if people go on Mytimetv Publishing website, they will actually see the media section, all the interviews that I've done, and so they're eye-opening as well, because they were in the early part of my awakening, whereas now I'm truly awakened. But the second book I was trying to explain just before you came back on. It's more about how I got angry enough at the system to realize my spirituality. As funny as it may seem, that's how it happened for me. I got so angry at what was going on around the world and myself that I tuned into my higher self to work out what was going on. And then I remembered all my dreams, all my past lives, and it all came to form this book.
You mentioned there a couple of seconds ago that you were had a lot of comments and that from other interviews that you've done. Is there a book in there somewhere as well, or?
In what, in the comments?
Yeah, I mean, you've had these interviews with other people.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where that goes, but surely there's information there as well that would be convenient for other people to know about. So is that a book in the future somewhere?
Well, those interviews culminated in this book.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So what, the first one or the second one?
The first one.
First one, right.
Yeah. But you see, I was also bordering on world events and what's going on behind the scenes, so much so that I realised I needed to tune into my higher consciousness, because it's all right getting angry at the system, but if you can't do anything as an individual, you've actually got to higher your vibration so that you can help others. And you've also got to love yourself before you can help and love others. And I wanted to help others, but I couldn't because I was too angry. So I
you had to get rid of the anger first.
I had to get rid of the anger first. I then realised, okay, now it's time to tune in, which culminated in this book. Okay. Then when I wrote this book, I started book number 2, which is about a year away from finishing, but it will explain in there all the research that I've done as to what is going on, because by the time it comes out, there's going to be some massive things happening globally that people are unaware of. And I don't want to say too much more, but there is a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, spiritually, politically, religiously, and so on, interdimensionally, you name it, it's all going on backstage. And at some point in this year, there's going to be quite some stuff being revealed. And I suppose book 2 will be like a for those people that didn't know what was going on and want an explanation, they'll be looking to people like me to give them that information.
So we can hope to see you back at some point in the near future with either more information, or
Yes.
It would be good if you could drop in occasionally and just give us an update on how things are going, and whether the second book is happening or whether it's interdimensional or whatever. I think it's great that there's somebody out there that can at least give a spiel on this, and there are people out there that are interested in this, and we want to try and promote that as well. It is just another form of spirituality.
Well, I was explaining just before you came back on about the 360 degrees of perspective, which if you had 360 people all in a circle, and there was 3 people in the middle of the circle, and they were, walking past each other, and then one knocked the other, and they had a bit of a dust up, there would be 360 different perspectives on what actually happened. But every single one of those aspects is the truth. But when you say it out loud, it's totally different.
Yeah, each one has a different vision of what takes place.
Yes. So no one person has the answer. What people have got to understand is stop following certain people. Follow everything. Follow everything, because everything has an aspect of the truth. It also has an aspect of false lies as well. But you see, what you do is you resonate with whatever it is and you internalize it, and that's your truth.
Well, I reckon we might cut it about there. If you don't mind, I'll just put you back into the lobby again, and I'll catch up with you in a couple of minutes, all right? Be a good boy. Sit in there and say nothing, all right? Okay, people, thank you very much. Look, I'm just going to run the post again, if I can find it. Where are we? Here we go. I'd like to say thank you very much for being a part of tonight's interview. Thank you for your comments. It's been really good. Again, the page for Dermot is Matt Bray Publishing. Give that a go if you're interested in his book, first, second, or otherwise. We're always happy to see these people come out on top. Don't forget that we have shows coming up between the 27th, which is yesterday, or the day before at least, right through to the 4th. And there are so many people who are putting on shows. Tune in all the time. Keep an eye out for what's going on and what's happening. And last but not least, the most important part, share with your friends. Share with everybody that's out there. And again, thank you very much for your time, your effort, your energy. Namaste. I wish you all a good weekend, and catch up with me probably Sunday. I've got another interview then with Eliza Richter. So there's something to look forward to. Thank you, people. Love the hearts. Love the guests. And thanks, Dermot, because that's where it went. Having good fun here. Catching you later. Oh, I can't catch you later because I haven't hidden that yet.